My phone buzzed like a trapped wasp, shattering the quiet of my airport gate. I ignored it, thinking it was just another "don't forget your charger" text from Mom, but the screen lit up again, and again, until I saw Dad calling. A man who'd rather wrestle a bear than use a smartphone. I swiped to answer, bracing for the usual lecture about my reckless solo trip to Japan, a $3,000 dream I'd scraped together from 2 years of waitressing. "Lila, you need to come home. Now!" Dad's voice cracked like dry timber, not his usual gruff command. Mom was sobbing in the background, her words a garbled mess of pleas, and "it's serious." My stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" I asked, my backpack suddenly feeling like it weighed a ton. "It's your brother, Ethan. He's in trouble. Bad trouble." I sank into the plastic airport chair, the chatter of travelers fading into a dull hum. Ethan, my reckless, charming, always in a mess little brother, had done something stupid again? But this time, the weight in Dad's voice told me it wasn't just a bar fight or a maxed-out credit card. "What did he do?" I whispered, dreading the answer. "He's been arrested. Lila. They're saying attempted murder." The words hit like a sledgehammer. Ethan, the kid who'd cry over a squashed bug, accused of that. I clutched my boarding pass, the ink smudging under my sweaty fingers. Japan was my escape, my chance to chase a life beyond our small town's suffocating grip, where everyone knew my family's every failure. I'd planned this for years: cherry blossoms, Kyoto's temples, a coding boot camp that could land me a job far from home. Now my parents were begging me to throw it all away. "Lila Yiwas, we need you here." Mom choked out when she took the phone. "The lawyer's fees, the bail, it's too much. We can't do this alone." I wanted to scream. I'd spent my life cleaning up Ethan's messes, covering for his skipped classes, bailing him out of petty thefts, lying to Mom and Dad when he'd vanished for days. At 25, I was finally carving out something for myself. Why was it always me who had to sacrifice? I stared at the gate, where passengers were lining up for Tokyo. The announcement crackled, "Final boarding call." My heart raced. I could still go. I could pretend I didn't hear the call. Let Ethan face his consequences. Let my parents figure it out. But the image of Mom's tear-streaked face, Dad's trembling hands, it clawed at me. I hung up, grabbed my bag, and ran to the ticket counter, my dream slipping away with every step. The next flight home wasn't until morning, so I spent the night curled up in a cold airport chair, replaying Dad's words. Attempted murder. It didn't add up. Ethan was a screw-up. Sure, but he wasn't violent. I texted him. No reply. I called Mom back, demanding details. She said Ethan had been at a party, got into a fight, and someone ended up in the hospital with a fractured skull. The cops claimed Ethan swung a bottle, but Mom swore he was protecting someone. "He's not a monster." "Lila," she said, "you know him." By the time I landed in our dusty Ohio town, I was a mess of rage and exhaustion. The cab dropped me at our weathered farmhouse, where Mom enveloped me in a hug that smelled of lavender and desperation. Dad just nodded, his eyes hollow. "Thanks for coming," he said, like I'd had a choice. They filled me in. Ethan was in county jail, bail set at $50,100. The victim, some guy named Travis, was stable but pressing charges. Ethan's public defender was overworked, barely returning calls. "We need a real lawyer," Dad said, but the banks tapped out. I wanted to ask why. I had to fix this. My savings, $4,000, including the $3,000 for Japan, were all I had. But looking at Mom's trembling hands, I couldn't say no. I wired the money to a lawyer recommended by a family friend, a sharp woman named Ms. Carter, who promised to dig into the case. "This doesn't sound right," she said after hearing Ethan's side. "There's more to this story." Days blurred into court visits and tense family dinners. Ethan, when I finally saw him, looked like a ghost of himself, pale, eyes sunken, but still flashing that crooked grin. "Didn't mean for you to ditch your trip, sis." he said through the jail's scratched glass. I wanted to throttle him and hug him at once. He swore the fight wasn't his fault. Travis, a local hothead with a rap sheet, had been harassing a girl at the party. Ethan stepped in, things escalated, and the bottle was already broken when he grabbed it. I didn't mean to hit him that hard, he said, voice breaking. I just wanted him to stop. Ms. Carter uncovered witnesses who backed Ethan's story, but Travis's family had clout in town, and the prosecutor was pushing hard. The trial loomed, and every day I felt the weight of my lost trip. I'd scroll through Instagram, seeing friends post about their adventures, while I was stuck in a town that felt like quicksand. Yet, seeing Ethan's hope flicker when I visited him, I couldn't regret coming back. Not entirely. The trial was a circus. Travis took the stand, spinning a tale of Ethan as a drunken aggressor. But Ms. Carter was relentless, cross-examining witnesses who admitted Travis had a history of starting fights. The girl Ethan protected, a shy college freshman named Mia, testified that Travis had cornered her, and Ethan's intervention saved her from worse. The jury deliberated for 2 agonizing days. When they returned not guilty, Mom collapsed into Dad's arms, and I felt a weight lift only to crash back down when I remembered my empty bank account. Ethan was free, but the fallout lingered. He promised to turn his life around, got a job at a garage, started therapy. I believed him, mostly, but I couldn't shake the resentment. I'd given up my dream for him, and no one seemed to notice. One night, over cheap pizza, Ethan slid an envelope across the table. What's this? I asked. Inside was $500, his first paycheck. It's a start, he said, eyes steady. I'll pay you back. Lila. All of it. I wanted to cry, to yell, to tell him money wasn't the point. But I saw something new in him, a spark of accountability. Maybe he'd change. Maybe I hadn't lost everything. Mom and Dad, for their part, started treating me less like the family fixer and more like a person with her own dreams. They even offered to help me save for another trip, though I knew their finances were shot. Months later, I was back at the airport, this time for a coding conference in Seattle, not Japan, but a step toward my future. Ethan drove me, his old pickup rattling. Don't let me screw up again, he joked, but his eyes were serious. I hugged him, feeling the fragile hope of a family trying to heal. This story isn't just about Ethan's mistakes or my sacrifice. It's about the messy, painful pull between duty and dreams, between love for family and love for yourself. Was I right to come back? Was Ethan worth it? What would you have done? Stayed on that plane or turned around for the ones who needed you? Share your thoughts, because in this tangled web of loyalty and ambition, there's no easy answer.